What would you do if you knew exactly what type of career you wanted to have, but couldn't find training or classes for it? What if you found an internship opportunity but didn't qualify for it due to lack of those classes? What would you do if the only advice you could get was to settle for the next best thing, even if you were not skilled in that field? Today's guest has had to deal with these issues and more, and will take us through his experiences. The Humanities Mass Communication Department at Norwalk Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now we join our host, John Hartwell, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us for today's edition of The New Directors. All of the people involved with this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling, audio, operating cameras, and acting as talent for the very first time today. The guests you will meet are students who, when not on camera, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you each and every week. Throughout this semester, students wrote and directed 3 unique productions. This program will give them the opportunity to tell you a little about themselves, the productions they worked on, and a chance to sample their work and watch the progress they've made throughout the semester. Our guest today is a person who has had to take a variety of classes he was unprepared for in order to complete his major in mass communications here at Norwalk Community College. Now I would like you to meet our guest, Byron Kittle. Byron, as we know, you were not originally going to be in this class. What classes were you interested in, and why couldn't you take them?
Well, ever since I was a child, we live in a very hilly part of New Canaan where we don't get very good internet connections, we don't get good television. So one of the ways I got most of my news and entertainment when I was growing up was the radio. So I really wanted to go into that as a career because I felt I had had a lot of experience in it. It was something I loved. Now, I still get most of my news. I get up early, I listen to the radio all the time. So I thought when I came to Norwalk Community College, that would be the perfect thing for me to go to. There are a lot of radio stations around here. I would listen to it all the time. I'm reading, playing games, practicing yoga, throwing my back out. So when I went to online here at Norwalk Community College, I looked at their broadcasting tab, which they actually have. But when I went to it, it was completely empty. There were no broadcasting classes there at all. So instead I went to their mass communications tab. And basically the only thing they had there was public speaking. And that was one of my prerequisites, so I had already taken that. When I went to the 2009, it was exactly the same. 2008, 2007, nothing had changed. This year, I took the book instead of going online to see if that was any different. I went down the list thoroughly, and guess what? Nothing. So the next step was to meet with one of my advisors. Here's John Patrick Shields, advising me on what classes to take in an absence of broadcasting classes to achieve a communications major. He suggested that I take many of his classes, which are film classes, as well as the class for television production. I also thought that some announcing jobs for it, being a guest and a host, would probably translate well into a radio career, so I said I would sign up. Here I am, signing away my soul and my spring to John Shields.
Can you tell us why you took TV production and not some other available course?
Well, there were a lot of other available courses, and some of them were film classes, some of them were journalism classes, which I'm probably going to take next semester. And television production was one I wanted to get out of the way soon. I actually took it last semester, but there was too much of a workload. This semester I was doing less, and because it's a class you need to really devote 100% to. You can't get through it, especially the video editing part, unless you have 100% time. I've come in many days I don't have school and spend literally hours here. Then other semesters I haven't been able to do that. This semester was much more quiet. As I said, I've been taking film classes here, so not to belittle those classes, but most of them are just watching movies. There isn't a lot of working to do with them. You just write and watch movies. So I thought this semester would be a great time to get this out of the way.
And what are some of the most useful tips and techniques that you've learned in this class?
Just patience, really. In addition to lots of composition that we've looked at, especially rule of thirds, which I've probably overdosed on, used in every single one of my shots I've taken. Patience is probably the most useful tool. When I was younger, I would watch a movie, and if it was an hour and a half long, I would wonder, why didn't it take them an hour and a half to shoot this movie? After I tried shooting a 7-minute long sequence, and it took me around 5 hours, I probably wouldn't think that again.
I certainly know about that. Tell us about your winter scene, your action scene, Guns and Hoses, and Where's My Orange?
The winter scene was something that I had to do very fast on the fly because we only had 1 day of winter to do this. And listening to the radio as I do, I heard that the weather would get warmer again. Especially where we live is in a microclimate, and the snow melts very fast. So I went out there in freezing temperatures to shoot all these different things, making sure I had lines of grace like we see there, shallow depth of field, emotional lines from a pine tree. That's the only thing on my property that actually has emotional lines, so I made sure to get that. And I froze my hands off. This is my action sequence. I got a very good actor to help me out here.
I think I recognize him.
Yes. And this was a very good basis for video editing and making sure you have all the shots you need for the final project. You don't want to have to go back and shoot extra on another day when your actor might not be available or the weather conditions, not here an issue, would be different. This also helped with the aperture because I had a really hard time getting the computer screen to show up. Well, this is the Guns and Hoses, which is really a crash course in Avid, which is not a very intuitive program, if I say so myself. This basically gave us the training we needed to edit our other projects together. It was good that we had a reference video to use because otherwise I would have been totally lost on this. I would have had to have the teacher with me 100% of the time. This is the orange sequence, which was, for me, almost a continuation of the first action sequence. There's lots of cutting to action, sitting down, close-ups, very important here because we want to draw attention to the orange, which is a wonderful subject in the college because the color makes it stand out. This was a very interesting scene for me to edit because I had to keep cutting back and forth between two actions that I had filmed separately.
And what was your best project, and why do you think it was?
I would have to say my best project was my orange project. Just for the fact that I had a lot of time to do it. That's the one that took me around 5 hours to do. Again, I had a very patient actor to help me out who gave me his entire afternoon. This was good, I think, because it really helped me get into the behind-the-scenes parts where I needed to get close-ups of everything, make sure I have everything I needed to edit, lots of movement, switching angles, and it just helped, especially working with an actor, where it really helps to walk him through every step. And if you don't do it right, you don't tell your actor what you want, you have to waste a lot more of his time as well as your time.
So what would you like to create next?
Well, obviously I still want to get into the radio business, but taking this course really showed me how much fun you can have creating videos, not just professionally, but also videos that you would create for yourself, for your friends, your family, especially if you live in a place with as much to shoot as Connecticut, where you have buildings, you have nature, you have animals. So even just sitting in my own house, looking out the window, I could find something that I might want to turn into a video to show people.
Well, this has been great. Thanks very much, Byron. Today we got to meet someone who was forced into several classes that he was unsure of, but found himself enjoying them all and having a great time this semester. I'd like to thank Byron for joining us on this episode of The New Directors.
Thank you.
And wish him the best of luck in the future. We hope you've enjoyed meeting this episode's future television director, and we'll tune in to our next week to meet our next new director. Thank you, and have a great day.